So once again, thank you all so much for being here. This is such an incredible evening and event, and the artwork that so many people in this room create is a testament to, again, your creativity and the power of Temple University, Temple Study Away program, and it's just a privilege to be with all of you tonight for the first Diamond Film Festival in Los Angeles. And now it is my great pleasure to introduce our panel for this evening, moderated by Pepe, who many of you know, faculty director for the Los Angeles Study Away program. And it is my great pleasure to now call to the stage Lars Keer, who is the filmmaker from Georgie, Kaelyn Lefurgy, filmmaker from Picnic. Oh, I'm so sorry. And Jonathan Shavelson, who is doing distribution for Invasion. Take it away, panel.
So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to ask some questions to the guests. And I kind of feel like if you guys have burning questions that come out of the topics, you should just raise your hand. We'll make it a little bit more organic and casual. And if not, then I will prompt you for time to ask your questions now. But I first off just want to congratulate the three of you for your involvement in the projects. I think it's it's very easy when we aren't in our 20s to forget how much time, energy, motivation goes into making something and completing it when we are students. So I just want to congratulate you on making things and completing them and getting them out in the world. And also for representing Temple University, which as a Temple graduate myself, I remember that one of the things that drew me to Temple in the mid-90s it was. No, it was the early, see, I can't even remember anymore. Was that unlike other film schools, Temple really championed a variety of voices and forms and genres. And there were the USC students, and there were the UCLA students, and the Columbia, and the NYU. And Temple kind of, I remember at the time, for me, excited me because you could do anything. And so I think that the variety of the work that you guys have shown tonight is a testament to Temple's tradition in independent filmmaking and bold voices. So congratulations on being a part of that. And what I'd like to do is, since you, Lars, are the writer-director of your film, yeah, and Kaelyn, you are the director and conceiver of your...
I'm all of it.
You're all of it. And Jonathan, you're involved in distribution of Invasion, right? Yeah. Okay. Why don't we start, if you can tell us where this comes from. What was your inspiration? What was the sort of genesis of this project for you, Lars?
Yeah, I think for me, I was starting to get a little battered down by film school, not Temple specifically, but just, school and having to, constantly put out these ideas. And the last project, this was my thesis film, so I really wanted to make something that made me feel happy. And I have been in a relationship for a very long time, and I wanted to kind of put the happiness from that, put the happiness of love and joy and all that, and put it into this film. And so I kind of looked at, things that in the past I was ashamed of or didn't like. So, the color pink is a really big thing. And when I was young, I actually hated that color and wound up coming to love it. So I think I wanted to kind of look at like how colors like pink make me happy, and how being part of the LGBT community makes me happy, and how my relationship has made me become a stronger person. So I really wanted to do a film that explored that idea and made me feel happy. So at the end of the day, I am very happy to have been part of a project that was female forward and LGBT forward. So yeah.
Excellent. And I know when I watched the film, I thought, wow, the color palette is very specific. And I think we should just acknowledge your cinematographer, your director of photography, Quinn Lay.
I'm going to point at her.
And another Temple alum and LA Study Away alum. Kaelyn, tell us a little bit about the inspiration behind Picnic.
Yeah. This is not a fun story. It's not about happiness or joy or love or pain. So in sophomore year, I was going through a pretty bad depressive episode, and I just felt like my mind was a picnic and ants were coming to feast. And then I sort of started thinking in junior year more about that concept of invasion, funnily enough. And how that relates to women in public spaces as well, and how whenever women gather, there's this notion about it, that it's negative or that they're revolting or that it's something grand. So I wanted to sort of explore those concepts in tandem with one thing. And I wasn't supposed to be in it. I had... the girl who was supposed to be in it, she dropped out an hour before. And I wasn't, because my whole thing was I wanted to film it. I wanted to DP it because it was my concept, and I felt like throughout film school, I just always ended up in my own things. And I was like, people are tired of seeing me. I know it. No one's told me, but I know it. And so I was like, I want to film. And then she said, I can't make it. I said, okay. So I ended up being in it, and Julian, who is sitting right there, ended up filming it. So I have to give a big shout out to him too, because it wouldn't have happened without him. So yeah.
I'm just curious because I grew up with my mother attending Tupperware parties, and I feel like Tupperware is it's vanished from the cultural landscape compared to what it was during my youth. And there is no Tupperware in your film. But I just wondered, it just made me curious about where you got that inspiration for the Tupperware party song, I mean, I know that's a piece of archival, but how that entered your consciousness.
Yeah, so when I started thinking about female gatherings, I sort of went back into the history, and though it's a more recent history in the grand scheme of time, the first thing I could personally think of were the Tupperware parties. Whether or not Tupperware selling was actually happening is another story. But it's just sort of the sort of concept of the Tupperware party. Just what I just said though, that whole thinking otherwise than what's on the surface of it. So I started going through the Wayback Machine, and I was finding all these weird Tupperware commercials where everything was in gelatin, and then in the Tupperware clothes, and it was in the refrigerator that was stark white, and I was like, ooh, what imagery. And so I was like, let me chop up this weird tribal song, because that's what it feels like to me now, is it's this sort of cult thing that happened, and that's my 21st century perception, I'm sure, but that's where the Tupperware came in, and yeah, I guess is glad not the same thing as Tupperware? Oh.
Tupperware is kind of the original that
brand.
Then became like Kleenex. It was a brand name that just became common parlance, but Tupperware was very, very specific and proprietary. So
gone but not forgotten. Thank you.
And just because this struck me, I do want to ask you about this, but I don't know why when I was watching your piece, it's not alluded to directly, but all I could think of was the famous Manet painting. Do you know this painting, Le Déjeuner sur l'herbe? Do you know this?
No.
You don't know this painting? Oh.
No, but le déjeuner means lunch.
Yes. It's a famous Manet painting that is very much about a picnic. and very much about the relationship between men and women and the male gaze on the female body. And I thought, oh, surely she must be inspired by Manet. So maybe you just want to say, well, of course it's inspired by Manet.
Right.
But we won't tell anybody. We won't tell anybody.
I was sort of thinking about Judy Chicago's dinner table and that whole thing. So that's a lot of where the plates come from and that sort of thing. Originally, this was a 3-channel piece with it projected onto the floor, and the projections of the ants were from 2 separate projectors projected onto the floor. So, and everyone stood around the piece being projected onto the floor. Obviously, I had to change that for the purposes of screening as such, but originally, that is the way it was presented.
So it exists as an installation as well.
Yes.
All right, well done. Jonathan, tell us a little bit about what you're doing for Invasion and how you got involved in that particular role.
I was producing Sam's senior thesis, and I was friends with Miranda, who's the writer DP, and Sam directed and did the sound on it. And it was just the two of them. It was just the two of them who were working on this. And we were in the late stages of pre-production, about to go into shooting for her senior thesis, and she goes, I have this whole thing together, and everyone's asked me what I'm going to do with it, and I don't know where I should put it, and this and that. She goes, would you mind coming on board to help, with the distribution angle? I said, yeah, sure. So we talked about where, she was thinking, and what, talked to Miranda and really delved into the themes behind it and everything like that. And right now we are, kind of putting together our list, getting our budgeting together, try to raise money so we can apply to everything, because it wasn't originally intended to be something that was going to be put out. It's just going to be, oh, this is for a class. It's done, it's set, let's move on to the next thing. But it came out so well that I think everyone decided it needs to be seen by people. So that's what we're doing right now, is gearing up for another fundraising campaign. So if anyone has any extra money, I would be more than happy to take it. And we're looking at different horror and female-forward festivals. We're looking at very much keeping in the tri-state area, so that both of the people who were involved in it so heavily are able to get to it as well, because I think that if you put a film into a festival that you can't get to, it's a little bit of a waste of money. And it's great, people are seeing it, but they're not talking to you. So that's where we're at right now, is compiling our list, doing all of our, our ABCs, where our top festivals, where our second, third tiers, and all of that. If you really want, I could probably pull up some demographic breakdowns and all that, but I don't think anyone wants to look at that.
And while we're on you, I'm going to ask this question of all three of you. Since all three of you have participated in the Los Angeles Study Away program, you were in the summer, right? Yeah. Okay. So you didn't have to listen to me talk for 3 hours at a time. Nor will you all. But tell me a little bit about what the experience of being in Los Angeles and experiencing the entertainment industry as an intern and as a student out here has done to change your thinking about your future plans, or what you're going to do with the film, or what's next in your career.
Me personally?
Yeah, based on your experience in LA.
Well, first off, it's definitely made me decide. I was on the fence of whether I was going to go back to East Coast or come out West. And as someone who told me the other day, he goes, well, do you want to be in the major leagues or the minor leagues out here? I was like, well, I want to be out here and really do it. So moving out here has definitely become a solid plan for me. In regards to the film, it gives us bigger reach. More people will be able to see it, because, like I said, we're only applying to places that anyone involved with it can actually show up to. Otherwise, in terms of my career and all of that, I pretty much knew I wanted to do producing when I came out here. It's still what I want to do. The type of producing it hasn't really changed. It's just I have a clearer way of how to get there now. And being out here really has given me opportunities I wouldn't have had if I had stayed out east. Is that a good answer?
Yeah. And Kaelyn, how about you? Because you're the form in which you work, which is more experimental, isn't what most people think of in terms of Los Angeles or Hollywood-based movie making, but what has your experience of Los Angeles made you think about what you want to do next or how you're going to pursue your career?
Yeah. So with Picnic, it's funny. It said BFA, not I. I'm not in the BFA program. It was also just for a class. Yeah. Honored though. But being out here, I'm currently at LACE, the Los Angeles Contemporary Exhibitions Gallery on Hollywood Boulevard. I've been apprenticing there since like September, so I've been able to work closely with artists and with the people at LACE to install exhibitions and work the events and get to talk to just a wide range of artists and working in all forms of media, which has been really inspiring and really cool to see. I met with Cindy Ream, and I was like, "So, how do you do this? How do you work in experimental media, in performance art, in the sort of more fine art side of media, and still have it be financially like lucrative?" And she was like, "Well, you really don't." And I said, "Okay." So so I got another internship too. So now I have 2 internships, and to this day, I have realized I can't just do one thing. That is why I came up with the concept and acted and edited and whatever. But I think that LA sort of has helped me realize that I need to be more, I need to take the initiative more. I need to not be afraid to just get my stuff out there, because when I made Picnic, we had so many issues. I was like, I know that my experimental media artist professor Catherine Pancake will love it because it's female driven, and it's about, it's presented in an interesting way, and I know these things, but beyond, I don't see it appealing to the masses, so to speak. But here we are. We're in LA at the SAG-AFTRA Foundation, and she's being shown. And I think I really just gotta believe in it more. I really, I think LA has just really helped me realize that everyone else sort of thinks that way too. They have things that they believe in, or maybe not, but they get it out there anyway, and everyone's doing that. So I need to too. How's that? Thank you.
And Lars, how about you in terms of being out in Los Angeles and thinking of a career as a writer or a director or a writer-director? What has the experience of LA made you think about your future plans or what you're going to do with the film?
Yeah, I was really blessed over the summer to intern with Women in Film and to intern with the Roberts Group, which is like a sister-led production company. For me, coming out here, I was really wanting to hear more from the women that are in film around here and hearing their stories and hearing how they've gotten their content out and how they've distributed it. So luckily, I've gotten a career now at Women in Film, and I just started this week, so it's a little hectic at the moment. But yeah, I think going forward, just as a content creator and understanding how women are represented on screen, I want to keep creating content that speaks to my experience and speaks to what I hope is the experience of a lot of young girls growing up that didn't really get to see themselves on screen. Making content that honors them and making films that I wish I could have grown up with is really what my main focus is. So I'm hoping with Women in Film I can keep, making my own content on the side and hopefully get Georgie in a few more theaters around here. So
Excellent. Does anybody in the audience have a question for Jonathan, Kaelyn, or Lars? No questions? Everybody's thinking, oh, there's wine out in the lobby.
Well, I moved to Los Angeles 34 years ago, and it's like the biggest kick movie in Wildwood. Beach there, I was like,
yeah.
I miss it, I haven't been there in years, but when did you shoot it this past winter?
Yeah, we shot it over the winter, which was arguably not the best idea because it was probably like 10 degrees at most. But yeah, I grew up going to Wildwood, and I always loved like the fantastic colors and how bright it was all the time. And unfortunately, just because of timing of BFA thesis, we had to film over the winter, but it still kind of drew me in with all of, it's like fantasia, whatever the word is. But yeah, I was almost kind of loving it more in the winter in a weird way, because it was so abandoned. I was like, I get to play and no one can come bother me. So yeah, we just had to let I think the like mayoral office know, and they were just like, yeah, do your thing. It's more over the summer when it's more packed, I guess, that you have to get more permits done, but because it was over the winter, they were like, no one's really here. So we got to play. We got a little free roam.
Yes.
So I also have a question for her.
Yeah.
I was just, it was really interesting, like, having just, like, them growing up, doing the movie and everything. I was curious how hard or what was the process of finding the cast? Put out a casting calls, or was this
Another cool thing about the BFA project was they had a huge casting session that we did like on a Saturday, and it was just like 5 hours of watching people come in, and hopefully someone would fit. The main actress, Oriana, I had actually casted in a film that I had done like a year prior, and we had really grown like as a director-actor relationship, and she was also, you know, advocating for more women in film and more LGBT representation. So I was like, perfect, I'm bringing you back. As for the older version of Violet, I actually tracked down on like backstage.com, and I found a photo of her, and I was like, she's perfect, I need her. So I contacted her, but the two young girls came in and auditioned through the thesis casting. And Bridie, who's the younger version of Penny, came in and was just so adorable. I was like, wow, this looks like me when I was a young girl. And then young Violet came in and was just like lighting up the room with her little audition. So I was like, okay, perfect, you're coming with me. And we got them, and then we did just kind of like not a casting session, but like a read through of the script with all of them in the room, and it just like made the pages come to life. So I was like, you're in, let's go.
Yes.
Do you guys have any aspirations of expanding these shorts into either any other medium or a feature film or anything like that?
No. I am so thankful for Picnic. I think it was necessary in terms of my own personal healing, and it was important to me in terms of expanding what I thought I could do. Because prior to Picnic, I had done visual poetry where I would write something and then voiceover, and then it would be images. With this, I tried to take that away and achieve the same result. So it was necessary for me to sort of push myself. Because it is more experimental and things, I would love to do a rehaul of it, because we had so many issues when filming. It started raining out of nowhere. We were harassed by a group of young boys, which is funny because that's what the whole thing was about. It was this group of women gathering in this public park, and these young boys had come up to us, and they started taking our things and running with them. They called us whores. They called us bitches. They took Julian's bag. They those sweet stickers. I had like 6 more of those. They tore those up and like just threw them on the ground. And it got to the point where I was fearing for the safety of my cast and my crew, albeit small. I did not want to risk anything. So we had to find another location. It was the only day that everyone could meet. So we just had to keep going. We reconvened at my apartment. I cried. And we went out, and we found another public area that was a bit more private because it was on campus, but it was like underneath this thing, and then it started raining. And so I would love, an opportunity to redo it without all of those technical issues. But I think in terms of concept and all those things, I think she's great where she is. I would also love to actually do it again as an installation, to put it up somewhere in a gallery where what I originally envisioned could happen for real. Because when I presented it for my final in my class, 2 people stood with projectors on their heads and were like tilted down onto the ground, and it was just all very experimental. Although I would love an opportunity to actually mount things. But yeah, that's that.
I can't speak to Miranda, who wrote it. She really likes to work on, she picks a theme and then she runs with it. Sam, I know she has other things in the work, not around this. What I can say about this is, in terms of distributing something like this, what I am doing is I'm trying to compile emerging Philadelphia filmmakers, like many of them, into an anthology series, because that's easier to move as a product than individual films. If you're looking at it from a programmer standpoint, they're saying, okay, well, I got this 3-minute piece, I have this 5-minute piece, I have this, but if you give them, oh, this equals 45 minutes to you, and there's 4 pieces in it, it's much easier for them to put that in a block than having to figure out the math of everything else. So that's something me and 1 or 2 other people are trying to compile right now to try to move, and if it works, then we'll do a 2nd edition and 3rd and so on. Maybe it'll be successful.
To quote Kaelyn, no. Not to say I wouldn't love to revisit Georgie in like 30 years and maybe fiddle with the concept again, but currently I'm working on 2 more scripts, both of which are about sisters. Because I grew up with 2 older sisters, and that has a lot of stories to come out of it. So, but yeah, I think for me, when I make a project, it becomes a learning experience for me, and I feel like I've learned from Georgie, and now I want to write something new, and so I'm really interested to flesh out these scripts that I'm doing and see how my sisters have affected me into writing a script. But yeah, one is about kind of the chaos of having a middle sister and how she seeks out attention, and then the other one deals with losing siblings and how we process grief, especially in modern day. So I hope to see if either of them will come and screen at SAG-AFTRA at 7 p.m. on a evening. But yeah.
Well, I hope we see more things from the 3 of you. You're off to a good start, making stuff. And I just want to thank everybody for coming tonight. I think we should adjourn to the bar. And you'll be able to talk
only.
to the filmmakers some more. And hopefully we will have more of these events. One of the goals of the Los Angeles Study Away program is we try to make sure that current Temple students who are out here in Los Angeles for a semester get to meet Temple alumni who live in LA and are building or have built their careers out here. And it's just really exciting to see all of these Temple people in the same room. So thank you all for coming.